We have the weapon system and we have the plasmid system. The weapon is more of your traditional first-person shooter.
Since weapons weren't brought down to Rapture, they didn't intend to have a war, they ended up having one. So a lot of the weapons are slapped together from common household items, things like that. That was one way we were able to introduce technology to the weapons.
Early on, we started off with some crazy weapon ideas like planks of wood with rulers that were, the crossbow with piano wire. And they became a little too abstract for first-person shooter, so we retained some of that style of feeling like things were put together. You can add on to your weapons, you can get mods and things, but it feels more manufactured.
Leveraging what is the real theme of genetics in the game, with people mutating themselves, could explain all different kinds of abilities that the players have with plasmids.
The implementation of the plasmids went quite well. It was one of the earliest things that we prototyped in the game to see how this would work with shooting and these sort of magical type abilities. And it was immediately something that changed the way you played once you got them.
So we started looking at these as augments to your weapons. And one of the cool things you can do early on in the game is zap somebody with electricity. And when you have low-level electricity, or the first time you get electricity, it doesn't really hurt somebody, but it stuns them long enough so that you can walk up to them and shoot them or hit them with your wrench. So we wanted the plasmids and the weapons to kind of fit together, so we're encouraging you to use both systems at once rather than just running around shooting everything willy-nilly, which would just be a regular first-person shooter. We wanted to give you more tools to be creative with how you can do things.
We've taken what people think of a traditional magic user to the next step. You launch bees out of your hand, you can place a cyclone on the ground and fire them up. Blending as many of those together as you can possibly have equipped is where the real replayability comes and where the real joy comes from.
They're certainly over 60. I believe it's around 70. It's a healthy amount of gene tonics for the player to find, and you're going to want to sample them all at one point.
The variety of abilities that we have in the game allows so much expressibility to the player. Everything from straight combat, cool lighting people on fire type stuff, to more clever uses with decoys and things that launch guys in the air, and all these sorts of really expressive things that players haven't really gotten to use in other games.
BioShock is loaded with all kinds of creative ways to use the AIs to your advantage. Between the hacking, you can hack security systems like the turrets. You use something, say, for example, like you hit a target with Enrage. They just go absolutely apeshit. If you have two splicers together or a Big Daddy and a splicer, you can get them to fight each other, and that's always fun. Just seeing AIs just throw down.
The initial objective with the effects on BioShock all started with the idea that we wanted to sort of make these things fairly concrete, but a lot of thought had to go into how do we make these things become actual things that you could sort of perceive as biological.
Every plasmid in the game, we thought about, what is this going to look like on your hand? How is it going to look in the world? How is it going to feel like it's coming out of your body, like it's ripping out of you?
Certainly there were technical barriers with the plasmid implementation. Usually they came to us with, it is supposed to do X. And then we would sit down and brainstorm, okay, well, what can we do with the hands? I did a lot of work with just creating sort of, from a tech side, we want to create, visually distinctive, overlays on the hands that sort of relate to the ability that you're using. So like with the ice, the hand looks sort of frosted over with like ice crystals kind of formed on it, and actual shards of ice, jutting out from the skin, and things like that.
Our game, as you go through it, there's bigger challenges, there's more being thrown at you, but also there's always that plasmid machine on the wall. And if you're bored with the plasmids you have right now, if you're bored with your loadout and the way you're playing, you can change it.
I think people are going to play with plasmids like people did when Grand Theft Auto 3 first came out, where you'd get sidetracked from a driving mission and you'd see a cool jump you want to experiment with.
There's plenty of surprises that haven't been released in any of the publications or anything like that. So I think gamers, especially gamers who explore the world the most, will come across lots of things that they've never heard about in previews and whatnot.